First point. Did you see that you got to go to college and get certain degrees in music education or music performance, knowing certain softwares? Have you researched any of that? It would be preferred. So you're just going out of high school, you're just going to become a producer. You're going to start making beats, and that's about it, right? Pastor, how many people we know they still in their basement making beats for 20 years, still ain't got one hit yet? Making beats. Right. Right. And guess what? After 5 years, you don't hear nothing about them.
Let me just say this. If you haven't already started at your age of doing what you're supposed to be doing, the likelihood of you being successful is slim to none. When I was your age, I already knew what I wanted to be. Right. I already had it planned. I knew where I was going to be at in computers. I chose a field and I started working on it. While all my other friends was doing football, trying to get scholarships to this one and this one, I had my mind set. So if you see the things that I'm doing, it's because I wasn't focusing on outside and playing. But when I was, my mom used to keep me in the house, I was in there playing on computers, making sure that I was, when I got to this point, that I'm already advanced. As as colored folks, we have to be already in tune with what we want to do anyway. So you're going to, as a black man, Spanish or whatever we are, colored folks, we have it hard anyway, getting into any field anywhere. So if, making beats, you're not going to be a producer if you're not already doing it, because there's people out there that are more advanced than you already and that are actually doing it. So if you're not making beats now and people, you don't have an audience, outside of the 4 people that you go to school with, the most likelihood of you being successful in that is almost 1 to a million. If you're not already working hard at football or basketball and you're not getting seen by put in newspapers, 1 to a million. You have to work hard in this life to become and do what you want to do. The only way that I'm doing what I want to do is because I'm focused. I don't play video games. Because video games and all those different things, they don't get me where I want to get. I don't waste my time, in one area because I want to be successful. I want to make good money. I'm going to be a multimillionaire within the next few years. So as you see me growing and growing my businesses and doing this and doing that, it's because I'm focused. So if you want to be a producer, don't say you want to be a producer. You have to be a producer. And you got to be a producer now. Because by the time you come out with that first beat, somebody already going to be and had that beat. Somebody's going to already be and had this and had that. So as soon as you come out with this good beat, there's going to be 20 people that already did that, and you're going to be already old. I know people that are in producing that came up in my organization. Richard Tubbs and Daryl Camper. They work for Jay-Z, Beyonce, all of the big people. I can inbox them right now, but they were doing that since we were kids. They were working, producing with Rodney Jerkins and all these other people since they were in their, babies. So you have to get out there, take your mind out of being a kid and saying, listen, if this is what I want to be, I got to become this now. It's a sacrifice. If you want to be a pediatrician, it's a sacrifice. If you want to do this, it's a sacrifice. So you have to say to yourself, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it now. So don't waste your time. Do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. Because before you know it, you'll be my age, still trying, like I said, making beats. I have older brothers, that's still in the basement making beats. Still trying to make mixtapes. You know what I mean? And not getting anywhere. Anywhere in life, they still driving taxi cabs and doing minute stuff when they should have, one of my older brothers, he had my dad paid money for him to go to Georgetown, and he flunk out there. you know, because he wanted to make beats, do something unrealistic. When if you're not getting ready to be better than Jay-Z or on the level of Drake and all the rest of these people, then you might as well get out the game. If you're not ready to get up to that level, then there's no room for you, because they're going to make the big money. If you're not getting ready to be the next Biggie, the next Tupac, or the next this, or the people that produce them, you're not. There's no room for you. You know, these small people that, you know, want to come to a studio and make beats, they make small money. You know, not money that's going to keep you. You're going to always have to keep a second job. So if you're trying to make money that's going to be able to support you going forward and make it big time, you got to start now. You can't wait until, you know, next year or when you get 18, you know, that just, there's not going to be no room for you. You know, that you have to start now while you have a chance. The younger you are, that's why you see these 15-year-old millionaires on TV, because their parents coached them to start their careers and build these businesses while they're young. Look at the guy that made Facebook.
Yep, what's his name? Mark Zuckerberg?
Look at the guy that made Facebook. His parents, everybody else close to him, do it now. Don't wait until you're 30 and 40 years old. The older you get, the harder it is to be successful. The harder it is, because there's always going to be more and more obstacles that come your way. You start having kids, getting married, doing this, doing that. And then if you don't push out of that and say, listen, I know all these circumstances came toward me, but I have to do something about my life. You're not going to get out of that, because that's how life is. Life comes to weigh you down. You know, so while you're young, do what you can now, because by the time you get 30, that's another plateau of now you have to work, because you can't live nowhere without working. So once you start working, you're going to be too tired to go to work and work on your future and do this. It gets harder. Everything gets more complicated. It's not a fairy tale. You know, the fairy tale that you think that I'm going to be a producer, not going to happen.
Snap your fingers and it's just going to
Not going to happen. You're not going to be a producer if you're not a producer already right now. There are kids that are younger than you that are producing for big labels. The girls on TLC's group, they got young producers. All these people, if you look in the background, these guys are 15 and 16, 17. DJ Camper was 16 when he started producing for Jay-Z. And Richard Tubbs started playing for Donnie McClurkin and all of them people.
He played for Mary Mary, right?
Since, yeah, he playing for Mary Mary now. That's their lead musician. He's in charge of all of their musicians. So they've been doing that since they were 14, 15. So if y'all not doing that now, then, you know, you wasting time. Wasting time. So, you know, as a black man, as young black men, work on who you are now, because you don't want to just become, okay, now I'm going to be working at the factory for the rest of my life. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. If you want to be a producer now. Start getting the things that you need to do. Spend your time YouTubing, learning, going to the library, and start producing stuff to get your name out there, to get recognition. If you're going to be a NBA star or an NFL star, start getting these people to put your names into newspapers. Start being a star of the team. Like one of my good friends that I grew up with, his name was Frank Moultrie. He was in every newspaper ever. His downfall was when we got to college, he had too many babies, and that stopped him. You know, and I told Frank, I said, don't have no kids. If you don't have no kids, you're going to make it. Frank had his first kid before we got to school, and then had the second one, the third one, the fourth one, and that was the end. Now, he could have been an Allen Iverson, or some of the ones that are big. He would have been that, because they were building him up to be that. But he didn't, you know, chose the right path. He wanted to have kids. Sex was greater than his accomplishment, you know, and just because, you know, and yes, he was protecting himself, but it didn't work. So that's one of those things where you have to choose. Like me, I choose not to be married because I want my success. You gotta, you know, I want to be fast at my success in my 30s, you know, so when I get to my 40s, I'm retired. So there's certain things that I have to sacrifice, and I'm okay with that for right now. So those are the choices at your age that you want to make now, so you'll know, okay, this is the path that I want. So this is the path that I got to take. You know, can't have no babies if I want to be, you know, a producer. You cannot have babies at 16, 17, 18, 19 and produce. Because your kids mean more than anything. And that's what it is. Once you start having kids mean more than your career. So, you know, those are the expectations. If you become a father or something like that, it's all about you taking care of your kids. That means you have to get a job, you have to support your kids. So that may mean you can't be a producer now. If you don't have enough ability to work and make yourself a producer. So I advise y'all, keep yourself like I did and move swiftly, but be the producer, be the NBA star. Don't wait until you're my age to be like, oh, I'm ready.
Look at all them singers that we know. And I'm talking about your case too. Kim Burrell worked for years.
Yep.
Years, degree, worked for years. She was already singing since the 80s.